Hi souls, welcome to my channel where hobby's gonna die. It's late, but today we're going to be talking about my favorite movies of 2024. I'm not entirely sure how many movies we watched that year. I know there's like 52 Fridays in that year, so give or take that many plus a few theater movies or road movie nights peppered in. But 10 of those are favorites of mine. I'll have these broken down to years, so you'll have the new releases, which is 2024, and then I had a handful of 2023 movies that I liked, so we'll have 2023 in their own section, and then anything older than that will be in its own section. I did have a few rewatches that we usually do every year. I won't put those in this favorite. Maybe I'll do this as another video. These are just movies that we watched for the first time that year. We watched a handful of movies that came out in 2024, but 3 of those landed in my favorites. The first one being Lisa Frankenstein. These aren't ranked in any order, by the way, just by when they released. I have been anticipating this movie ever since I saw the trailers. This is my kind of movie, and it didn't disappoint. If you don't know anything about this one, it's about a misunderstood teenager and a reanimated Victorian corpse embarking on a murderous journey together to find love, happiness, and a few missing body parts. Basically a dark romance comedy. By the way, if anyone has any recs about movies or books or anything that revolve around this type of genre or this type of feel, please let me know in the comments. So I did nitpick a little bit about this movie before, that the pacing felt off to me. But overall, I just really vibed with this movie. This is my kind of movie. If my rewatches have anything to say about that. Labyrinth, Edward Scissorhands, Dracula, Phantom of the Opera. I like that dark, romantic kind of feeling, whether it's horror comedy or otherwise. I definitely should rewatch this because it is a rewatchable movie, but I want to rewatch it just to see if it redeems itself. If it was just an off day for me, or if there is really some pacing issues with this. If it does have pacing issues aside, it is still a really good movie and one that I would recommend. The next movie we'll talk about is one that we watched in theaters as soon as it came out, and that was Furiosa. This is a movie that my husband was anticipating. He doesn't get excited about movies too often, newer movies especially too often. He really likes 80s movies and older movies like that, but he really likes Mad Max. So Furiosa is part of the Mad Max universe, the sequel to Mad Max Fury Road. It's about Furiosa, who gets snatched from her home, the green place of many mothers, and gets caught in the crossfire of 2 tyrannical warlords as they fight for dominance. All she wants to do is go home, but she finds herself in a non-stop battle as she makes her way back. I'm losing my voice. It's going to be one of those videos where I'm always cracking my voice. I'm so sorry. My voice hasn't been the same since I had that surgery for cancer. Anyways, I definitely didn't grow up watching Mad Max movies. That's something that my husband grew up with. But I really like dystopian, post-apocalyptic kind of settings. I always gravitate towards them. That's the reason why I loved Fury Road when it came out, and I absolutely loved Furiosa. I would say that Furiosa is definitely a cinematography masterpiece, if I can say the word. The action sequences were especially amazing. I mean, it had its slow moments and weird jump cuts through the timeline because it follows Furiosa from child to adult. So obviously they have to jump cut or else the movie is going to be super long. But it just had some awkward moments like that. But beyond that, overall, it was still an amazing movie and definitely one that I would recommend people watch. The last new movie that we watched last year was Deadpool and Wolverine. This is one that we went to see in theater immediately, like Furiosa. I'm biased because I really like Deadpool as a character. It doesn't even matter that Ryan Reynolds is a really good Deadpool, by the way. But I just really like the chaotic anti-hero that's always fourth wall breaking. I've not actually read any of the comics, but I know enough about Deadpool to just really like that kind of character. I just like, in superhero movies, I just really like the anti-heroes and the chaotic ones that are like forced into the hero role because they're the only ones that can do it. And of course, I also like Wolverine because I had a crush on him growing up. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine during all the X-Men movies and stuff. Again, I've not read any of the comics. The only thing that I've seen is the movies. This movie in particular is all sorts of timey-wimey. It's about Deadpool's peaceful existence being thwarted when the Time Variance Authority recruits him to help safeguard the multiverse. He joins forces with Wolverine to save the multiverse. I did mention how Deadpool likes to break fourth walls. That's just something that he does often. This movie in particular was very fourth wall breaking. And it's about as you expected for Deadpool movies. Gory, spicy, because Deadpool is horny as all get out, satirical, and funny. I mean, it's just all that roped into one. Obviously, this is not a movie to show your kids. It's for us adults who either grew up with the comics or just grew up with superhero movies and need an adult comic movie. I mean, I'm not telling you what you should show your kids and what you shouldn't show your kids. If you're let your kids watch it, then you let your kids watch it. There was a lot of surprise cameos in this. Cameos and Easter eggs. I'm not going to mention any of them. I mean, at this point, I could spoil it, but I'm not going to in case you've never watched it before. But everyone in the theater was gasping and cheering every single time a surprise cameo popped up, because none of them were really advertised during the whole theater and marketing strategy and everything. It was just a surprise, which was great. I mean, you wouldn't have gotten it if you didn't grow up with superhero movies, the cameos and stuff, but if you have grown up with superhero movies, then you definitely got all excited when you saw the cameos. Of all the scenes in the movie, the opening scene was still my favorite. My favorite fight scene. I mean, there was a lot of fighting in the movie, but that was definitely my favorite fight scene. And also, it was a really amazing way to do the beginning credits, because they included the beginning credits in with the fight scene. So when Deadpool, blobs someone's head off, as the head's flying away, so is the words of whoever they're talking about in the credits. It was really artfully done, to be truthfully honest. Gory, but very artfully done, and I can appreciate that. So I was creating my list. I was going to do new releases and older releases. Then I realized that a good handful of the older releases were 2023, which isn't technically older releases. That's still considered newer releases. So the next things we'll be talking about are the 2023 movies, starting with Oppenheimer. Honestly, I think was definitely my favorite movie of 2024, which is surprising because I honestly thought that I would be bored with this movie and sit there and stare at my phone while my husband enjoyed it, because he's the history buff. I'm not. I mean, I find history fascinating, but sometimes history can be boring. But this definitely sat me at the edge of my seat. I put my phone down and immediately got glued to the movie from the beginning to the end. It was amazing. This is about physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer being recruited to work on a top secret project called the Manhattan Project during World War II. They spent years developing and designing the atomic bomb that's forever changed the course of history. I'm a bit biased again. Cillian Murphy can do no wrong, to be truthfully honest. Any kind of acting role that I've seen him in, he is great. The one that's popping in my head the most is his role in Peaky Blinders. I love that TV series. I need to finish it. So I said the cinematography was great in Furiosa, which it is, but this is 10 times more greater. It was just artfully done. Whereas Furiosa had its artistic moments, it was very action-packed. I love the fighting scenes and stuff in it. This was more art related. They used interchangeably black and white film and colorized film to switch between the past and present for Oppenheimer, which I thought was really well done, really good way to differentiate between the past and present. And they also did an artful take of Oppenheimer's brilliant mind when he's, doing his calculations and everything else for the atomic bomb. You see like clock faces spin around him. It was really, really nicely done. And then there are the guilt or anxious moments of Oppenheimer's life. That was also artfully done. I don't know, it was just all amazing, really, really amazing cinematography. I mean, it was a devastating part of history, but despite the terrible time that this was showing, the film itself was amazing. Next on the list for 2023 is Poor Things, which is based on a 1992 novel by Alistair Gray of the same name, which is a retelling of the gothic horror Frankenstein. So it's about a woman brought back to life by an unorthodox scientist who runs off with a lawyer on a whirlwind adventure across the continents. Free from the prejudices of her time, she grows steadfast in her purpose to stand for equality and liberation. I didn't give a pause in that sentence, by the way. It wasn't the scientist that ran off for adventure, it was the woman. Bella Baxter, that's the name of the female version of Frankenstein. I'm gonna be a broken record here and say that this movie was also artfully done. It was bleak yet comedic and liberating, and it leaned heavy into the abstract symbolic nature of art. Surreal. It was very surreal. That's the word I was looking for. Very surreal in the way it's filmed. What can I say? I'm a sucker for artfully done films and morbid films, both in atmosphere and setting and all that. Morbid in general. And Emma Stone did an amazing job as Bella Baxter. And of course, I am biased again. Willem Dafoe is always amazing in any of his roles, so he played an amazing scientist in this. The next 2023 film we'll talk about is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. This movie was adapted by one chapter of Dracula, and if I remember correctly, that chapter was very vague with the whole Demeter and what happened to it. So they definitely took liberties, obviously, for this movie to make it more detailed and make it a movie-length thing. But it's still amazing that they just took one chapter of Dracula and focused the movie on that. It's about the crew of the merchant ship Demeter setting sail from Carpathia to London to deliver a cargo of 50 unmarked wooden crates. However, they soon discover they are not alone, as Dracula's unholy presence turns the trip into a nightmarish fight for survival. So I was shocked to see that not many liked this movie. I mean, if you look at the ratings and stuff, it got like a 6 something out of 10 from IMDb, or I don't remember how you say that, but yeah, it's still lower rating than I was expecting. And I think it's because not a whole lot of people understand Gothic horror. When they go into a movie like that, like what's marketed as a horror, they're expecting, in-your-face jump scares and gore and things that are scary and anything else, and they come out disappointed. I think that's the reason why a lot of people just didn't like this movie. I loved this movie, but I love Gothic horror because I understand Gothic horror is more about setting the mood with like moody atmosphere and everything else. It's slow with its building to the crescendo, which is usually like the smallest last half of the book or the movie and stuff. So if you don't appreciate movies that are slower like that build up to that, then obviously you're not going to like this. But I love this. It was the same with Nosferatu. I've noticed that Nosferatu is kind of split down the middle, where people loved the movie or they hated it. And I think the ones that hate it, again, do not understand the concept of Gothic horror. So keeping that in mind, I definitely think this definitely leans into the Gothic horror rather well, with the whole stormy nights on the sea. Everything was dark, obviously, because Dracula comes out at night. And I really, really loved how they portrayed Dracula in this movie. Very similar to the monster-esque look of Nosferatu in Nosferatu. And the last of the 2023 movies that we've seen that I loved was Godzilla Minus One. Now, I am not a huge Godzilla fan. My husband is. Obviously, he grew up with Godzilla. I did not. So I've not seen a whole lot about the Godzilla franchise, but of the ones that I've seen, movie-wise, this was definitely my favorite. Japan has barely recovered from the Second World War when a gigantic peril emerges off the coast. I can't read my own handwriting. Tokyo, obviously. A deserter traumatized by the first confrontation with Godzilla sees this as an opportunity to redeem his conduct during the war. So I can definitely see why this movie won awards for visual effects, because the visual effects in this movie were amazing. But beyond the visual effects, but what struck me the most was the story itself. It wasn't just about this giant radioactive monster that's coming in to destroy the city and anything else. There was far more than that. This was definitely more centered around the characters and stuff around Godzilla and the story involving them. And it was a heart-wrenching, gut-punching story that definitely, I do believe, left me teary-eyed. I'm pretty sure I was teary-eyed during the end of that movie. Like I said, I've seen a couple of Godzilla movies, but this was definitely my favorite because of the fact that it was more centered around a story revolving around the characters, a heartfelt story. Godzilla was just like a side character in it. So we've got 3 more movies left, and these are older than 2023. Okay, So the next one we're going to talk about is Ghastly Brothers, and I'm getting mixed messages as to when this actually released. Some say 2021, some say 2023. From what I can gather, I think it released in 2021 in Belgium because this is a foreign film, and then it released everywhere else in 2023. I think that's the reason why there's mixed as to when it aired or released. So I think that's why. But it's called Ghastly Brothers, and this is a kids' horror comedy about a kid named Lilith meeting the Ghastly Brothers, a pair of strange ghost hunters at her boarding school during a job fair. The school falls prey to an infestation of ghosts, and they go head-to-head against a horde of spirits and demonic apparitions in a supernatural battle. So, like I said, this is a foreign film, so this isn't in English. This is subtitled. And I normally don't lean on subtitle movies or shows and stuff because not because I don't like them, but it's just more because I do not read fast enough for me to read subtitles to get the idea of what's going on. So I tend to avoid them because of that, which I know is like a drawback because I know there's a lot of amazing foreign films. I've seen a few of them myself. But because of the acting and the scenes and stuff, I was able to get enough of what was going on for me to not read the subtitles as fast as they were going. The practical effects in this were amazing. All the monsters and stuff were puppeted, and you can see the behind the scenes of these puppets during the credits at the end of the movie, which I thought was really neat, that they were showing like snapshots of the puppets and the puppeteers working the puppets for the movie. This was such a quirky and cute movie. It was on par with Ghostbusters. I honestly wouldn't mind rewatching this because it was so cute. Next up is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yes, I finally watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Technically, we started to watch it like years back, but this was back when my husband was doing a night shift. So during the movie, he fell asleep, so I turned it off because I didn't want to watch it by myself. I wanted to watch it with him. And we finally got around to watching it fully last year. This is a musical about sweethearts Brad and Janet stuck with a flat tire during the storm. They go out looking for help and discover Dr. Frankenfurter's eerie mansion. I won't say more than that. You'll just have to watch the movie to get more than that. But it is a lean towards Frankenstein. So I was not expecting how it ended. And I won't say more than that, but I still really loved this musical. It was fun, quirky, spicy. Tim Curry was amazing in it, but again, I'm biased. There's a few actors and actresses I'm always biased about because they're always amazing in the roles that they play, and Tim Curry is one of them. The dance scenes and the songs were very catchy. I was singing along to them afterward. I need more musicals like this in Repo. I've seen Repo as well. If you have any kind of recommendations of other musicals that kind of lean in that like horror or gritty type of atmosphere but a musical, then please let me know. I've also seen the newest Matilda, which also falls in that. And the last movie that we'll talk about is Frankenstein. There has been a theme, if you noticed, of all the ones that I've listed, quite a few of them were nods towards Frankenstein. I did watch more than that are also nods towards Frankenstein that didn't get onto the favorites. The only Universal modular movie that I've seen, but I definitely want to see more after watching this one. I shouldn't have to tell you what this movie is about. You should know. But I will say this is not a carbon copy of the book. Obviously, they had to adapt that book into film. For a 1931 film, which is usually shorter, they definitely need to adapt it and also make it interesting enough to put in film. So obviously there's going to be changes to what the book is. So I loved this movie. The set designs were amazing. I really appreciate set designs in older movies. I wanted to pause the movie just to appreciate the painted backgrounds and all the detailed props and stuff that are in the background. It wasn't a very dead backdrop. It was a lot of busyness and everything else that make it more intriguing, along with the classical acting that I love with classics. I need to watch more classics, to be honest. My only complaint about this movie is that it was short, but it's because growing up, we're used to longer form film, and back then, I'm pretty sure that the reason why it was always shorter film is because they only had so much reel to put a movie on. And that's it. That is my, I guess this would be a top 10 favorites of movies for 2024, since that was 10 movies I just mentioned. That being said, if you have any other movies that you think that I would like based on these favorites, please put them in the comments. Give this video a like, subscribe for more content like this, and like I said, comment down below if you have any recommendations for me of what movies I should watch, or if you don't, then just tell me what some of your favorite movies are, because I'm still probably going to look them up so I can add them to my list to watch. Until next time, bye souls.